When I started working in the public sector, I started to see many women and young girls being brought in, having endured horrific sexual encounters. Back then, we didn't have as many SARCs or specialist services as we do now. So they were made to sit in tertiary centers where nurses, women around them, forced them to openly disclose the stories. They were shamed and blamed for what happened to them, and then they would be sent back home. And we all know that 90% of the time, home is the place of abuse. I started to look closely at the home. I started to appreciate that in a country like ours, with 100 million women, 1 in 4 of our girls, across every single geopolitical zone, is enduring at least one sexual violence encounter. And only 5% of them were aware of where to go. I started to look closely at the ages. I started to see children in my line of work. By the time you call me in to assist, that's taking you into the operating room. I started taking younger and younger children. And when I got to 18 months of age, I drew the line and I decided that more needed to be done. I incorporated the organization work. We looked at the problem through 3 lenses. Healthcare, what's available? Do we have enough specialized services? Are these services targeting only women? Do we believe these women? Do we help them beyond the medical care? Do we offer them counseling? Because we know that more than the physical injuries, these women carry the emotional scars and they have no one to speak to. We looked at welfare. Auntie mentioned empowerment. Women will be beaten before they leave their children. But how many women can leave with their children? We looked at justice. Women can't call lawyers. Where do they find one? We looked at housing. She is in a home of abuse, but where is she going? Her parents aren't going to accept her because our cultural practices dictate that she's now married. She does not have the financial means to leave, and her friends pretend that they're unaware. And then we started to look at beyond the intervention, how about educating so we start to prevent this issue. So we started to create programs, taking them into secondary schools. We looked at girls. Girls needed to be protected. They needed to understand where to go when they had these problems. But then we had to look at boys. We cannot forget that for every 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 10 boys are also survivors. And boys are not allowed to speak out because they're boys. And boys in our part of the world do not get abused. And then more importantly, we started to look at the perpetrators. 98% were boys because they were living in homes of violence. Boys and girls, children across the world, including our children, mimic what they see. Antoinette said it. And so if you're in a home that's violent, you will grow up to become a perpetrator. So we introduced programs for those adolescent boys as well. And then in universities, anybody that has worked or has gone to a university in this part of the world recognizes sexual grades. Lecturers preying on you, peers preying on you. And then you're also a young girl who's naive and you don't have, unfortunately, the support system to protect you. So we worked with the UN Women. We offered the first online classroom in universities. We have up to 8,000 from 106 universities participating, and this is growing. And then finally, we looked at community. And community for us is important. Community is important because 54% of us live in rural communities. We don't have fancy urban centers. Women that live in these villages rely on traditional birth attendants. They're not formally trained, but they're the healthcare providers that are available. They have never been trained in cases of gender-based violence, but they were custodians of secrets. They knew who was being abused. They just did not know how to deal with it. Over the last 6 years, we've trained 11,000 of most these women in many communities, and they're standing in the gap. They're representing the women that can't speak out, and we've expanded these rural community programs to include law enforcement, so that these women can also receive justice. And then the religious and traditional leaders, because they come with mediation and they also come with a sphere of influence. But who's explaining to them that women need to be protected? And then finally, financial empowerment. Women cannot lead. Women do not like to be beaten. Women do not like to be enslaved. Or she cannot lead if she's not financially empowered. And no, she does not have an education because 10.5 million children in our part of the world leave school. 70% of girls start in primary school, like Antonica's program, but only 10% wind up in universities. What happens to that 60%? They need some skill. They need some financial education. And this is what we do. And we stand in the gap for all these women. And as I said, standing on the shoulders of those before me, we hope that we can expand our programs across all 6 political zones and leave no woman or girl behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The detail with how doing these values. Let's go back to the topic and the subject of discussion this afternoon. How can older voices shaping cultural norms and values and the perpetuate sexual and gender-based values, role of the intergenerational dialogues in this process?
Thank you for that question. I think the most obvious point is the older generation come with a unique skill that the youth do not have. Lived experience, life lessons, and skills. I must start, however, by saying that we need to first recognize that the future belongs to youth. They are the next generation, and they have a right to play a part in every conversation, even these ones. And our role is to facilitate, is to guide, and to use, as I said, our lived experiences to help them. When we talk about how we do this, the first thing that comes to mind is what Antoinette said, role models. We talk about family, child rearing, schools, and we know that the first thing that happens is that we always want to either dress like, sound like, or do the things that the people that we look up to do. So if we have a good role model in the general before you, if you have a role model that you can go to, if you do have these acts of violence perpetrated on you, then that begins the conversation and it fosters positive relationships. Secondly, I think engagement. Engagement could either be direct in schools. You could actually, for instance, the program that I mentioned, take educational school programs into these schools to help bridge the gap. Part of the things that we do in our programs is we include parents. So there's a parents forum. And the reason why the parents forum is so important is for this very reason. Because the parents come from another generation. And many times, young people cannot speak to their parents about these types of issues. Either the parent is the perpetrator, or the parent is aware of who the perpetrator is, but because of the facade of the family name, they're not naming or shaming. And so they need a forum where they have mediation, they have voices, they have elders who have the experience to stand in the gap for them. And then these forums can then assist, as you said, in intergenerational conversation. Finally, I think supporting youth initiatives. I'm a big proponent of every youth initiative that adds value, we can assist. And this doesn't have to be just financial, it's time. Young people like to sit and listen. What they don't like is being dictated to. So if we create an enabling environment, a community environment, where they can sit and listen to us, trust and believe that those intergenerational conversations will continue. Because violence is intergenerational. And so if we do not break this down, it will continue. Thank you.
Yes, can be employed to raise awareness about yesterday among older generations. Maybe yes for me.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think I started out earlier on by speaking to the issue of power dynamics. Now, the intergenerational conversations are also underscored by power dynamics. Our culture is such that we speak and keep out the young persons. Your mother gets a visitor and then she gives you one, and you know you have to be good. So, which means you are likely to eavesdrop, or I mean, you're more likely to either eavesdrop or later on, begin to put one and two together from what you were able to pick as you brought or what as you did. So, in terms of the conversations around gender-based violence, I think where we missed it as an older generation in this country is when we refuse to look at the issue of sex education instead of looking at it from the perspective of knowledge of the bodily integrity of boys and girls and using the right knowledge and nomenclature. We didn't have to use what they came with. And then it is not new. Your mother will talk to you when they are taking you to your husband's house that night before. She will speak to you. She will tell you many things that ordinarily she is not going to be sharing with you, or she will not allow you to be listening to in her conversations with her friends. So what it means is that the generational gap needs to be bridged first with trust. The young people need to trust the older generation that gender-based violence, which we don't know. Many of us grew up not knowing that our fathers or our uncles were abusive husbands because it was shrouded. It was family honor and family secret. So we need to open up, because if we don't talk to them, or if we don't create the spaces for us to let them understand and acknowledge it, they will learn it from someone. And you have no control. You will be sleeping by 8:30, an average 60-year-old parent is already asleep. I mean, who keeps the night? They keep the night. Technology is at their disposal. Technology is at their disposal for the good and for the bad. As such, if you want to save the day for our generation of youth, who are the energy that we need to drive out and to shoot down impunity and violence against women? We are burned. Most of us at 60 and above need the energy of the youth. And we cannot get it until one, we get their trust. Two, they are properly educated about what they need to fight. What is the relationship between you and your classmate as a girl? Do you know her bodily integrity? What is the school system that has no infrastructure for a girl who is going through her period to go in and clean up herself? The one who starts in the classroom will be tested forever by a male classmates. I'm sure some of us understand. When it first came, we used to call it a so when it first came. Now, when you have first came in the for educational setting, the girl carries that stigma for the rest of her life. Can we find ways of teaching? One of the things that we were able to do to start that process in Rapa was to work with youth and create aunties, community aunties, anywhere where a school is located. We go around to check who are the elder women in that community and attach 4 or 5 girls so that when they need to use that infrastructure, and they can go there. And there is no water. It is so far away. So when we speak to our generation, we should remember what are the peculiarities they are facing. What is the challenge of technology? A lot of cyber bullying and cyber violence is going on amongst our girls. They can't even express themselves. Rama has created over 20 different safe spaces online. But because these girls lack the trust they need to open up, a lot of them are not there and they tell the stories that are not true because they are hiding the truth. Now, coming to the generation, again, when you look at the gatekeepers in our community, it is the leaders of faith and culture. They are our gatekeepers. And for the good of it, for goodness sake, I'm not saying it's negative. Because they are the custodians of our generations and they are the custodians of our culture and our history. So we need to bring them on board. In Rwanda, with the support of World Foundation and the Rwanda Foundation, we have done that. We have a perspective of over 1,300 ulamas and clerics across this country. If anybody support clerics and ulamas in this country, then they will come without us. Because we believe, and they have demonstrated to us, that they can be responsible if they are respected, if they understand what they need to speak to, and if they are not stigmatized as the victim and as the culprits. As we speak, Rafa has safe places in palaces, in churches, and in mosques. Because those custodians have not understood the role they need to play. And in doing that, the generational conversation with them, Your Excellency, is such that they need to understand that as fathers, as mothers, they need to open up the doors of knowledge. A lot of the things we are talking about in the scriptures we practice. If you speak to early marriage, you go back to the example of the prophet himself. He didn't marry off his daughter at that age, and he gave her the room to be chosen by somebody. He asked her to marry men. If you go back to the culture of the suppression of women to bear names that they have to let go when they are divorced, it didn't happen. The prophet never called his daughter the wife of Ali. He said, Fatima, the daughter of the prophet. Who asked me to change my name now? I'm calling to stigmatize men when I'm divorced. Many girls today are afraid of the divorce culture because they need to change their name. They need to go to the newspaper. That is violence. So we need that opening, Your Excellency, that knowledge. The scriptures, our God is a just God. He gave responsibility to men and asked men to. But if you don't carry my responsibility, if you don't support yours, you cannot ask me to do your own. So please, what we need in that generational conversation with the leaders of faith and culture is to tell us the truth about what God said about your coexistence. Thank you very much.
Older generations work with them to address the causes of violence, especially in marginalized communities.
Especially in marginalized communities. Is this intergenerational by the same thing?
Yes.
Marginalized communities. I think those communities are marginalized. So let me start by doing this. Find your man. Find yourself, love it for body. This thing they call love, not serious affair. Make you think well before you breathe. I beg you, if you love life, you go wait for me. My sister here has talked about what organizations are doing, but I'd like us to look at ourselves and consider what we are doing. You'll be very surprised that not many of us are talking about sex education. They're going to get it, and they're going to get the wrong information. You have no control over that. I was so much for girl child, God gave me only boys. And you did that on purpose, go deal with it. You know, so I was happy when boys were mentioned here, because boys are critical to what we're doing. If you lift up the girl child, you don't lift up the boy child, you're going nowhere. Those are their husbands. So we must do this together, this education, this talking, and we must take it to the schools that they open this conversation of talking about boys and girls, what is good to do and what is good not to do. I mean, this song that I sang in the 1990s, people are still singing. You get on buses in Lagos State and they use it. And we're so happy about that. So we have to look at ourselves as individuals. What am I doing? What have I done? What can I do? How many people in my community can I reach? Imagine a lot. Up to us to remedy the situation, and we can. Just the conversation we're having here, do you know the rippling effect Like I'm learning a lot. I don't know about you, but I didn't come here to teach anybody. I came to learn, and I'm picking up so much that I'm going to be put to good use. Let's all do that. Bit by bit, we can save our communities.
So, what role can art, culture, and media raising awareness about violence and intergenerational collaboration and violence prevention from the perspective of older generations?
Thank you, Your Excellency, for that question. Um, the creative economy, which is where art and culture belong to. Our job is to tell stories. And through storytelling, there's a lot that we can do about gender-based violence and intergenerational communication on gender-based violence and sexual violence. Let me explain by telling you two very short stories. The first story is about a young girl that is dangerously naive. And she goes into university and gets played by a by an older man, and unfortunately, she gets pregnant. However, she has a wonderful relationship with her mother. So she tells her mother that she's pregnant and she has gone to the Babalawo to get something against this man who she was pregnant for, because the man is denying the pregnancy. And the mother goes, I understand your pain. I myself have made a mistake in not letting you know. I was over shielding you, so I did not discuss the birds and the bees, as we call it in inverted commas, with you. And so you have gotten yourself in this situation. What I will do is this: have your baby. Have your baby. I will take and I will look after that baby. You continue your education. Make sure you continue and finish your education. I will look after your child whilst you are doing that. So she gets to go back to school and she becomes an incredible artist. That's one story. Now, the other story is about a lovely young girl who has a fantastic relationship with this boyfriend that they've been dating each other for years and they're so in love and everything. And hey, she gets pregnant. You know how these guys are. Yeah, they always expect the woman to take care of the situation. They don't remember that they can help by wearing condoms. So she gets pregnant and they're both in school, they're about to get into the final year, they're panicking and all that, and they go to a side doctor, to a quack, and she gets an illegal abortion. And fast forward many years, she can't have any more children. Now, those two stories are stories that were told in a TV series called Owuro Lojo. And there were other stories that were told, but the arts, it travels. Entertainment travels. And there's so many things that have been discussed in those two stories. First of all, how important it is, as Auntie said, that we have constant conversation with our children, not just the girls, but the boys. Whether we like it or not, they will experiment. The more we tell them, the more we have discussions about sex, the more they will learn how to protect themselves against sexual health, sexually transmitted diseases. They will know how to protect themselves against that. And also,
Nobody in that TV series, we did not advocate for abortion, but we did advocate for safe abortion. It's very important. Whether we like it or not, these things will happen. The more we have discussions with our children, the more we have those discussions and let them tell us what their challenges are. That's the way we can get them to have to wait for me, to wait until they are married. But some will not wait. Let there be that shelter for them that can protect them for the future. So that's what we do in our community. What we do is we tell stories, we interrogate situations. And because of the kind of way we tell our stories, whether it's through film, whether it's through theater, we can sometimes go to the marketplace and show these works in the marketplace that then engenders conversation. They then get to ask us questions and we can get conversations going, whether it's with the older people or with the younger people. Thank you ever so much.
I'm so happy. Answer questions that I already to answer. But we need to round up our house and note each one of
I think for me, it's important to end with the survivor. I think my last minute should be spent telling every survivor out there that you are not alone. And this is not your fault. You're made to carry the weight and shame of what somebody did to you. I think it's important for you to understand that there are centers like mine, like anti-Samaritan. There are women, like all the other women on this panel, and there are people out there that can help. There are more platforms now for them to speak out, and I urge and encourage them in your time to visit these centers. You are not alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think my last word is to say this. Gender-based violence, even as we aspire to end it, is a human relationship issue. As such, what we should struggle to do is to do three things. First of all, take responsibility. In whatever sphere of influence you have, you need to take responsibility, acknowledging the fact that gender-based violence exists and that you can do something. The second thing is we should have legal and policy frameworks that can protect the survivors of gender-based violence in any context. And then third and most important, we must shoot down impunity. Because right now, the rate of prosecution for gender-based violence, especially if it is domestic violence, is very low. As such, we need to shoot down impunity. People should know they cannot get away with just this, abusing the bodies of women for the dignity of women and get away with it. So let us work together, acknowledge its existence, take responsibility, and ensure that perpetrators are held accountable. Thank you very much.
Let me make 2 points all within 1 minute. I talked about the boys. One thing they know about me, if you go marry somebody's daughter into the house and you're going to maltreat her, I will join her to deal with you. That is the policy. You don't dare do it. So we ought to train our boy children that way to understand that it's never acceptable. Having said that, we all have issues in life, and one thing we don't talk about, we haven't talked about it here, is that there are various forms of violence. It's not only physical, and sometimes the emotional and the financial deprivation, it's great violence against women. And please do not think that it only happens to women in the village or women of this sector. So economic level, it happens to the best of us. What I can say to my sisters, what I can say to any woman, be strong, remain beautiful, know who you are. You're a child of God and you're here with a purpose. When you go back to heaven and God said, my daughter, I sent you. He said, it's my husband. What's he gonna say to you? So, you are an important person. And yes, you're gonna love your family, you're gonna take care of your husband and your children, but you have to take care of yourself. Because we're gifted. We always, we give, we fill other people in the community, in the home, and nobody feels us. You have to feel yourself. Because if you go down, everything else comes down with you. So be strong and know that you're valued and you're loved. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I want to share with you a phrase that I came across during to finish. It was a story from it's a story from the Bible in which God says, I am your helper. It never occurred to me to link it with something else. He says, I am your helper. And we have a song, a chorus, and we sing to them. It goes, my helper, oh, my helper, oh. There is something I can to your presence, my helper. Now, link that with something that God says in Genesis. I will create for man that help him. So God is our helper, and He creates woman to be a helper, meaning that woman is an important aspect of God. You are, as a woman, a helpmate, and you carry that power of help. You carry that part of God. You have within you that incredible power. Nobody and no one must be allowed to diminish it.
Thank you very, very much, panelists. I'll just summarize it. So, what is also, everybody has said a lot based on their experiences, based on their areas of specialization. What is clear is that the narrative on sexual and gender-based violence is changing. Now, it's something that people talk about, it's more open, to talk about it. A lot of the law say any woman that is going to any form of violence, and like Angelika said, it's not just beating, emotional harm, but a lot of people suffer and they suffer in silence. There's a financial one, and many women are not able to make decisions because they don't have the financial capacity or capability to be able to make important decisions for themselves. Now we know that there's support. We know that our homies, our aunties, support. You just need to reach out and get support. And the youth these days are very expressive. They're open to learning. And the older ones, be the older ones, are there to support. We also need to stop the positive to become patriarchy. I'm not saying that we should not respect our men. I am not saying that they are not the heads of our household. I'm just saying that there are a lot of things, judging from what our parents have said this afternoon, that our men and our women, but more our men, have learned from culture that they need to unlearn, such that they can relearn what is new, new ways that will be beneficial to the women and the next generations that are coming. If we sat here for another 4 hours, we continue talking, and the entire hall will still be captivated by the things that we're talking about. Unfortunately, we have to wrap this up. I hope that the next time we're here, we made some transformative, some moves, some things that we made some moves such that we come here to account and say, well, this is where we were last year. This is what we have achieved this year. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so very much. As we learn to unlearn and to relearn, I do hope that action will follow some of the words that we listened to. Thank you, wonderful panelists that come down here for a group photograph. And I invite, please, the chairperson. Would you like to come here? Would you like to come on stage or the models? I'd like also to invite His Excellency the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum to please join this picture. And I can see the wife of the Chief of Staff. Please, on the high table, can we just all join? Thank you so very much. I think this panel also deserves a very loud round of appreciation. Thank you. While that is going on, please like to play interlude to Randy to come on stage. Quickly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. We might have to tweak the agenda a bit. You recall that at some point I invited Her Excellency the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations to address us. I think we are ready with that address now. In the interim, I'd like also to recognize that we have Senators Wine from here. We have also the National Council of Women Societies. Thank you very much. And also now your beautiful Nigerian uniform and all other groups and members that are here. I was going to accost my sister. Hello. Yeah.
You have to do that today. Eh? I thought after doing that I would get away. Okay. Don't be sad. Understand. Yeah. Everybody has a day when the sun stays away. Yeah. Take our come in a new tomorrow. A little more love each way. Let's for a brighter day. Yeah. Never need worry. Let our love set you free. I'm listening to you. Come on. One love, keep us together. Oh. Living in a world is a struggle to stay alive. One love, keep us together.
Living in a world, it's a struggle, just stay alive.
One and only. But now, please settle down as we listen to Her Excellency. Can we have the audio?
Of the Nigeria Government's Wives Forum. First Lady of the Republic of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters, I am pleased to join you for this 4th annual conference of the Nigeria Government's Wives Forum as we mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. I would like to commend the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Nigeria Governor Wives Forum for taking up the fight against gender-based violence. The theme of this year's summit, Youth Allies, Bridging Generations to End Violence, is crucial as over half of Nigeria's population is young, with an average age of just 18 years old. This demographic is not a mere statistic. It is a wellspring of potential too often hampered by violence and gender inequalities. The numbers are alarming. Within the period of January 2020 to July 2022, 7,349 cases of gender-based violence were reported in Nigeria, and those are the ones we know. Sexual and physical violence accounted for 72% of violence reported. 1 in 3 Nigerian women aged 15 to 49 faces physical or sexual violence. This is a deep-seated human rights crisis, a blatant violation of dignity that calls for immediate and decisive action. But there is also good news. Young Nigerians are not passive bystanders. With the support of the United Nations Spotlight Initiative, young Nigerians are leading innovative campaigns against gender-based violence, utilizing digital platforms, grassroots movements, and community engagement. They are breaking the silence surrounding violence and challenging deep-seated norms. By actively engaging our young people, we tap into fresh perspectives and innovative ideas. Intergenerational exchange enriches the discourse, blending the wisdom of experience with the dynamic energy of our youth. I cannot say enough about the power of allyship to overcome historical gender bias, discrimination, and gender-based violence. Too much of GBV, including emotional abuse, becomes intergenerational, within home as well as workplaces. We must break this vicious cycle together. I urge each one of us to commit to this cause with sustained investment from the whole of government, development partners, the private sector, civil society, women's rights and youth organizations to eliminate this scourge in all its forms of GBV. Let's work together to empower young people, especially our young women and girls, and to leverage our collective wisdom to end GBV in all its forms. Your shared efforts today will define the Nigeria of tomorrow. Once again, I would like to applaud the leadership of our First Lady, who has constantly stood up for the rights of all Nigerian women everywhere. Thank you.
To do this as fast as we can. Are you set to, all right? Would watch the play interlude for a couple of minutes. It's been abridged so that we can leave here in good time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, starting with existing protocol. My name is Osasue Babo, and we are from Safe Space Initiative. We have a stage play. It's titled Mirror Mirror. It's a quick extract of what we'll be showing across tomorrow, but we hope that everything that has been shared today is something that you will find a pertinent conversation starters as we go on. Thank you very much. Stop.
My body is the vessel that carries my essence, but I come to campaign for survival, resistance to my fulfill their desires. They treat me tender when it's the gender they desire. They treat me tender when it's the gender they desire. They will copy and paste me it. And this is the endless cycle that keeps determining our fate. Oh, you can try those. We are nothing but child-bearing machines with a sprinkle of casting and putting functions. We wear 19 women, treat women, glorify the suffering of women with words like strong woman, venture woman, proper 21 woman. There is no, we write to a man, we see his power. I'm talking about food.
Excellent.
And even the way we treat women, like trash. And I'm not saying you woman, but you say joy. So more. Let's give it up.
Is this a joke?
No, it's not. It is not. Please, don't question women now.
Worship you make because of songs that were made. Okay, since you want to be ready, let's talk about songs. Sweet mother, I never forget you. For this suffer, suffer for me. That because of our head. Oh yes, that because of our head. Because a woman has to be perfect again. A woman has to be perfect. You want a woman with all the personality disorder. You want to go up now. Okay, mommy in the kitchen. Daddy in the parlor watching me. Children in the family praying for Papa. Papa. Mommy and daddy just out of work. So mommy is the one in the kitchen cooking. And later, oh, that was still on from food.
It is my right.
Let's talk about power. Not for top power. Real power. And my sister and her 4 children don't even report to put out. Because I have to make up their names. I sent her away.
Did you not bring that name?
Somebody that is working in power. They all assistant manager. I said no. He took economic power from her. She became nothing more than his spending and his dollars. And we're here talking about songs and holiday. Songs and holiday can do. You and I do the same work, but you get about 4 times. 4 times more than I can, simply because you are a man and I am a woman. And we all know slavery and the power. I mean, that is so. Do you know what it feels like just to feel like a full functional human being, just like you? Have you ever felt shortchanged simply because of your gender? Have you? Have you? Have you ever been passed over for a promotion when you only practicing together? So if you haven't walked in my shoes, don't tell me that I'm a You say?
All of us, and the people of the when they protect the woman, the woman don't get money. Her brother is seeking up. If you don't get money, her husband will give her money. When she don't even work, her pikin will still give her money. Hey, who dey help man?
Society. Society has been helping you from the day you were born. The day you were born, his village people gathered and killed a cow, dancing and rejoicing that he had been born.
Was she there?
But how about you? How about me? The day I was born, my father took one look at me and let me overtake a rope. Do you know what that means? It means a girl is just a person. Just a person. And it's a consolation prize. We didn't get to choose a man and woman, but the society already did that for us. You, a man, and I, the male woman. I remember the first day I had to walk and shower. I was only 13. I had just gotten the bus from the Yawa and so Dr. Man shouted,
Before I entered this bus, I did not know that 20 naira had dropped out of the bus. The park was filled with the usual hustle and bustle, so when I entered this bus, all I had left was 15 naira with no extra change. So I pleaded with the conductor, but unfortunately for me, more than half of the passengers also had stories to tell. And the next day,
All of
I didn't know what that was meant. But I got all the conversation about that. And when I finally learned what it meant, I showered prostitute. Oh, sloth. This word used to describe the condescension we feel for women. Any woman who demands for her rights is an ashawo. Any woman who dares to use her voice other than just sit down and listen is an ashawo. Any woman who dares to try a different man other than what society has intended for her is a what? That day, because of Dr. anything other than that. But he chose to call me a shallow. Let me ask you, would he have said that to a man? Would he have said that to a man?
Society has pressure on us all since we were children. I myself have been pressured to man up ever since I was just a child. If you don't believe me, ask them. Out of 16 children, I was the only son of my parents. My father married 5 wives. When I finally came, I was never allowed to leave. Although it turned out to man up, even though I was a child. And anytime we did something wrong, my brother blocked everybody. I was the only person not allowed to cry. He would say, men don't cry. No woman that's a big man. And also weakness. Oh, no woman. That's a weak man.
Not crying or showing emotion. But to show your weakness each time you want to have emotions and react to it in anger. What your father taught you as a child, not to be that anger of yours is your biggest weakness.
My wife and I go back all the days that brought to the movie of my life, rewind to remind me of all the times I wanted to do right or have no opportunity to do so. I think about some hours about how when they are about to do right, society forces them to go to the wrong place. I think about boys whose moves are being made robotic all of a sudden. I think about life. So many things. I remember every single thing I have done to her. And sadness comes on me all over again. For boys who's home to the battlefront, you do not have to make your love a war zone. For boys that had to become weapons, you do not have to be a shoulder to lean on. You too can partake of the shedding. Fragile egos trapped tank of uncried tears. How many liters must this body of water shake before it realizes that it is well? What I need to say is they should have taught us to let it go. How many bloody canvases must this hand make of faces of their wives, of their children, of their girlfriends? They should have taught us to let it go. Not make our bodies home for pain. They should have taught us better. That being a man is more than being male. They should have taught us better. That just because you have the weight of society on your back, it is no excuse to throw your own weight on her back. So I hold on to the beauties of our Suleiman, that being a man is more than being male. And they should have taught us better.
Thank you so much. Bringing that in. Tomorrow, thank you so much. Please can you remain on stage? Your Excellency would like to have a picture with the cast. Thank you so very much. Yes. The International Foundation is safe space for victims and survivors. So, let's go to the wow, it's been a wonderful day. And the playground perspective. Initiative. Put this together. One more time. One more time. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, stay on, stay true. At this moment, may I please invite Her Excellency Engineer Taruno Enidi today, just to make it for your sake, with the point of thanks. Once you come to the microphone, please, found any phone, Samsung phone, please can you put it downstairs so you can get back. You just kind enough to thank you, Your Excellency. First Lady of your state, Engineer Taruno Enidi.
I'd like to recognize the chairman and chairman of the governor of Kwara State, His Excellency for coming in, staying throughout the session, supporting women, and also letting us know that the Nigerian Governors Forum is behind what we do out here. Thank you, Your Excellency. I would also like to acknowledge His Honorable Wife, Chairperson. Now, the Nigerian Governors House Forum, the First Lady of our state, Her Excellency Ambassador Professor thank you for coming. I want to thank our former chair, squeezing 2 hours to be with us. She been a key of support Governor's House for Board of Trustee, Her Excellency in DC Friday. I want to thank you for coming. All the first ladies here present, my sisters, I want to say thank you for coming. I also want to recognize the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, because this is a important thing. I'd like to acknowledge you for sitting out here for he had pushed things around with him, as ever commented by our commentator, that she saw him on TV on the program, and he was taken to our here. I want to thank you, our Minister of Foreign Affairs. I also want to thank our Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs for making time to join us and for pointing out that what we are doing is fully supported by the Nigerian Governors Forum for approving the mobile court for us. I want to say thank you for that wonderful remark. I also want to use this opportunity to thank all our development partners who are present, the British High Commission, the Canadian High Commission, NGSF, the United Women Representative, USAID, the Ford Foundation, the UNFPA, and MacArthur Foundation. I want to say thank you. I also want to thank our mothers who were in the second panel. We can see that the boys are still strong, their shoulders are strong for us to stand on, to pull the young ones in. I want to thank you. I want to use one. I want to say thank you for what you do in your respective field, both in art, in movie, and in NGOs, speaking out for women. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everyone who had helped me our fourth annual conference of the Nigerian Governors Forum with the team Youth Alive, Bridging Generation to End Violence with Reality. I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for seeking truth. Thank you for enduring, even though the break was so small. I want to say thank you. The theme for this year is in line with the challenges we face as a society in our fight to end gender-based violence against women and girls. Therefore, as we have heard today, it is necessary for us to work with the youth so that the generation gap between us and them can be bridged. When the gap is bridged, we can collaborate to end gender-based violence and will be more productive. Hence, I would like to appreciate my fellow First Ladies and sisters, fellow members of Nigerian Governors Spouse Forum for your commitment to address gender-based violence in your different sites. Furthermore, thank you all, our esteemed guests, for all over the country, both visual and the ones that could not come, for joining us today at our fourth annual conference. Your presence is highly appreciated. In conclusion, it is through everyone's collective effort that we can bridge the generational gap that we all heard and seen and work towards the future to free our country from gender-based violence. Let us all work hand in hand to build a society where our women and our girls can live and strive without fear of being violated or assaulted. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to our event. I wish you all a safe trip back to your various destinations. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, First Lady of Oyo State. Before we finally leave, I'd like to invite to the podium for the conclusion of this event as Her Excellency, the wife of the Kwara State Governor and Chairperson of Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum, Her Excellency Ambassador would read the call to action on ending gender-based violence. Yes, by the Nigeria Governors Forum, in line with UN Women representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Her Excellency will be speaking to these call to actions, and I do hope that the UN Women, if we have any UN Women representative here, good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. It's been such an eventful day, and we thank you all for staying through to the end. We have the call to actions on ending gender-based violence by the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum. The strategic capacity workshop and best practices exchange was organized by the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum in collaboration with the United Nations Women through the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative at the Transport Building, Abuja, on the 9th and 10th of November 2016. Following this convening, targeting first-time First Ladies to familiarize them with existing national and international frameworks for addressing violence against women and girls, and empowering them with strategic approaches to leadership and influence, CAWG prevention in their respective states, we hereby affirm our commitment to continue to play our leadership role in coordinating violence against women prevention policies and programs in our states. The commemoration of the 16 Days Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, GBV, has provided an opportunity to amplify our messages and actions towards ending violence against women and girls in Nigeria and globally. Therefore, we affirm our commitments to the following call to actions: to strengthen collaboration with the Ministries of Women Affairs in our states to facilitate effective and efficient multi-sectoral coordination needed to prevent and respond to VAWG in a holistic manner, champion advocacy for the effective implementation of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act and Child Rights Act through the implementation of the clustered action plans and M&E framework facilitated by UN Women in some states and support states without action plans to develop them without delay. In line with the theme of the 16 Days Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls, we collaborate with the Nigeria Governors Forum, federal and state ministries of justice to establish special courts on GBV for the prompt dispensation of justice and holding perpetrators of violence against women and girls accountable. Advocate for the establishment of sexual assault referral centers, SACs, in states without one, and adequate funding of existing centers in the various states in Nigeria to guarantee the provision of timely, comprehensive, and multi-sectoral services to survivors of gender-based violence.
to facilitate the empowerment of women and girls in our states in a manner that addresses the factors causing the vulnerabilities of women and girls to gender-based violence, to sustain engagements with traditional and religious leaders in transforming harmful social practices that perpetuate and reinforce violence against women and girls. And this call to action has been signed by myself, the First Lady of Kwara State and the Chair of the Nigeria Government Spouses Forum, and Ms. Beatrice Ayon, the UN Women Representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS. As somebody said earlier, we want to come back here in a year's time and be able to say, this is what we have done. We've managed to improve on all the indices, we've managed to improve on all the things that we said we're going to do. And this call to action is showing you what we plan to do in the coming year on gender-based violence. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for coming. Love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful day. Shall we please all rise for the national anthem? National anthem, please. National anthem, please. Shall we have the national anthem, please? Right, after the count of 3, shall we all please sing the national anthem? Thank you all. Compliments of the season, and have a good day in Abuja. Let's together stop the violence.
Seriousness. Get for us. Is that right? Want me to make it ticket? Okay. When you know, see, bye. Now, something. No, that's in the something like everyone's on